Hi, this is Bill over at Major Hiker. Just wanted to talk to you a little bit today about winter emergency kits for my car. I want to show you what's inside, so let's take a look. Okay, here it is. This is my kit that I carry in the back of my vehicle for emergency purposes. So let's take a look and see what's inside. This is a Sterilite watertight plastic bin. I prefer this conveyance versus a bag or other means of carrying the items. Just like the added security of watertightness that comes with these type of bins. Inside, I keep a waterproof beanie. This particular one is the Outdoor Research Sombrero. Found that keeping something like this in my kit is always good. If you don't have one already and you find yourself caught out in weather, really good to have in the back here. Here's a fleece blanket that I picked up for a relatively low cost at Walmart. Put this in here rather than a wool blanket. I felt it was a little bit better for children to have, and you didn't have the added worry of getting moths or something like that, as sometimes happens with wool blankets. Inside is my emergency kit. This is just an updated Bear Grylls basic survival kit with an orange bandana as well in the plastic bag. So I always keep something like this in there. This is my SOL emergency bivvy that I keep in here. Always good to have at least one for each adult. I'm a little bit nervous to carry one for each small child. I have small children. Got to be careful with something like this. Small children can suffocate easy in some of these things, so you just got to be careful and just be aware of what you're doing with your children, and make sure that you keep them warm, but just be careful with some of these emergency bivvy type items, and only use them in accordance with the instructions that are given. For water purification, I always keep a life straw with me wherever I go, even in my backpack. So this is always good to have for obvious reasons. So, good item here. I keep a poncho in here for rain purposes, but also for marking purposes. If I need it for signaling, I can also use this for signaling as well. An orange one also works for that purpose as well. Always keep a small fishing kit in here. This is a cheap one that I picked up at Walmart. I like the way it's laid out. I like the fact that you have weights as well as hooks, as well as some other items in here. This is just a good item to have. I wish the packaging would be a little bit different, but this is what you get. I like the items. Good overall kit to start with for a fishing kit. Always good to have hand warmers and body warmers in a emergency kit. However, just be careful with these, because we found in the military that if we use these too much, it causes sweating, especially in the feet, and that can aggravate and bring on immersion foot and other problems that result from cold weather injuries. So just be careful when you use these. Don't overuse these, and these will burn you if you have them too close to your body as well, especially at first. They do get very hot, so be careful with these. Here's my Spool-Tool. This is 100 feet of paracord, military grade paracord with a small lighter. Just a good item to have. I enjoy it. As you can see, it's a little almost overfilled with 100 feet, so probably 75 feet is probably more agreeable with the Spool-Tool, but this is just an outstanding item to have in your kit also. And here's an empty Altoids can. I keep one in here for the express purpose of making char cloth, should I need to do that, or to dry out loose tinder, wood tinder, in case you need to make a fire. Good item to have. Just some extra paracord, some cheap commercial grade stuff. Never can have too much paracord, but For an emergency kit, you don't need to overdo it either. Just remember, you're in your vehicle, so you don't need to go overboard with the paracord. You're not going to necessarily need it for rappelling off of a cliff or something. Okay, so good item to have. In here is my Fisker's limb saw, folding saw. This particular item is no longer in production. Fisker's decided to go with a smaller blade. This is one of the last ones that I was able to pick up commercially. This is, I believe, the 12-inch blade, 10 to 12-inch blade. So just remember that when you buy a limb saw, you got to go for the best, and this is a good item to have. However, there's better ones out there, but I like this one for the convenience and the fact that it comes from a quality company. All right, thanks. Small axe or hatchet. I like this particular kind because it's all metal, all stainless steel. You can hammer with it because it has the flat back, and just a good item to have for taking down small limbs and making shelters. My SOL emergency blanket, definitely a must-have in your emergency kit. You can line the inside of your car with this to try to keep warm. You can also use it for hasty shelter as well if you have to make a shelter outside of your vehicle. Just a good item to have, as well as to keep the kids warm. Use this in conjunction with the fleece blanket, and you got a pretty good item for inside the vehicle to keep your kids warm. Here we have in this kit as well a camp cook set. This is by MSR. This is just a great item to have as well for cooking and boiling water and other needs. So good stuff to have here. Recently, I learned the value of keeping some emergency power. This is emergency power backup that I picked up at Lowe's. This is just a good item to have when you're in a place that doesn't have power and you need to recharge your phone. Just a good item to have, and I just decided to go ahead and put one in here for my winter kit, and it's probably going to stand for the summer kit as well. Just a good item to have. Good stuff here. This is my survival knife that I keep in here for backup purposes. This is the Ontario Knife Company's $4.99 Air Force survival knife. Just an oldie but goodie. I'm going to eventually replace it with the Mora bush knife, but this is what's in here for right now. This is a good knife, proven in combat as well as in civilian uses. This is a great little blade to have, not too cumbersome. It's a 1095 carbon steel. The only drawback to it is it does have the serrated edges on the spine. It would be nice to have a full 90-degree spine on this to use for fire making as well as making tinder and scraping bark. Good stuff to have here, but this is just overall for emergency purposes, just a good cutting tool to have in your kit. Always have a cutting tool in your kit. Always keep a good pair of work gloves in my emergency kit. I don't like getting my knuckles bashed up or cuts and scrapes on my hands when I'm trying to work, especially in cold weather. Always good to have a good pair of work gloves with you when you're trying to work on your vehicle or you're trying to do different things around your vehicle when you're stranded. Always carry shop cloths with me. These particular are 100% cotton, so you can make char cloth out of them. It's just good to have for various reasons, from checking your oil to wiping up things that may have spilled. Just a good item to have in your emergency kit. Here I have my Gerber multi-tool with me. This is one that I picked up in the military and the Army Exchange Service store. This is made in the USA. I believe this is the 600 series. A very good item to have. Always good to have a multi-tool with you for various reasons, especially for the fact that it has the ability to cut as well as to you have the flat head and the cross tip mechanisms on there for screwing and unscrewing things. This is Gorilla Tape duct tape, some of the best that you can buy on the market outside of the military grade 100-mile-an-hour tape. This is just a good item to have for various reasons. You can see many videos online, as well as read articles on the uses of this. So no need to go any further, but good item to have. This is some plastic fuel line. This is just good to have for siphoning and other purposes, especially if you need to draw water or siphon things out of your tank, etc. Just a good item to have in your emergency kit. Another good item to have in your emergency kit is some surgical tubing. Again, you can use this for various things, from tourniquets to slingshots to siphoning to temporary binding of things together. So just a good item to have in your kit. Have the UCO weatherproof matches. Is a good item to have as well for your fire making items in your emergency kit. Just good stuff to have here. Again, another SOL emergency bivvy, one for me, one for my wife. And eventually, we'll be getting, as our kids get older, we'll be putting more in there for our children. An essential item is an emergency kit. Can't say enough about having a good first aid kit and in your vehicle. Had to use this one a couple of times. Just a good item to have in the back of your vehicle when you need it. Can't say enough about it. One of the last items that I carry in my emergency kit for my vehicle are road flares. These are great items to start fires with, as well as to signal. Just be careful with these. Use them only in accordance with the directions that are given on the package. You definitely don't need a burn injury if you're stranded to compound your problem. So just use these with safety in mind. Use these with some common sense, and definitely use them in accordance with the instructions given, so you can get the best use out of them and use them safely. But always a good item to have. Also saves on some other things that you might need later on, but just a good item to have. Well, that's the items in my kit. There are some additional items that we'll talk about, so let's look at some additional items that are in my vehicle but are not in this particular bin. Now I've got everything back in my bin, just want to show you some additional items that I keep in the front of the vehicle, and we'll look at some items that I keep here in the back of the vehicle that aren't in the bin. But in the front of the vehicle, I always keep in the glove compartment a flashlight. Now my personal favorite is this Maglite law enforcement flashlight. This is just a great flashlight that I've used over the years. As you can see, this one's kind of well worn. I've had it for quite a while now, and I really like it. It has two functions, not only as a flashlight, but because of its heavy duty nature and the fact that law enforcement likes to use these, it also can substitute as a self-defense mechanism. So just a good item to have. Always carry a flashlight in your glove compartment. In the winter, I always carry a pair of gloves, a pair of winter gloves of some kind to keep in the vehicle with me. In addition to that, I always keep some sort of fleece cap or a wool beanie. These work for me. I always like to keep these in the vehicle. I'm notoriously bad about forgetting things if I take them in the house, so I've just learned over the years to keep items like this in the vehicle, so when I need it and it's cold and I'm waiting for the vehicle to warm up, I can throw these on and for a few minutes while the vehicle warms up, and it's always good to go. It's always nice to have these available when you're trying to get in and out of your vehicle, so you don't have to fool around looking for them in, say, your backpack or some other place on your vehicle. These are up front in the vehicle with you. You can just grab them and go. But these are some additional items that I keep in the front of my vehicle. Now let's look and see what we have in the back of the vehicle to round out our emergency kit for our vehicle. Now here are some other items that I carry in the back of my vehicle. These are just pretty much standard emergency roadside items to have in your vehicle, but every article that I've read and everything that I've seen where people talk about winter emergency kits always has at least one of these items as part of their essential items. So let's take a look at these. First of all, triangles. Emergency warning triangles are very good to have in your vehicle. I learned about these when I was in Europe. These are standard in Germany. All Germans are required to carry emergency triangles in the backs of their vehicles. It's just a law over there, and I thought it was just a good practice to carry with me for the rest of my days since learning about it. So I always carry emergency triangles in my vehicle. Saves on the use of the flares also. The flares should just be used as a last resort if you have emergency triangles. Also, everybody knows for the most part you got to carry a good pair of jumper cables. You never know when you're going to have to help somebody, and you never know when when you're going to need help, and having a good pair of jumper cables in the back of your car or somewhere stowed in your vehicle will help you immensely to self-recover if you find yourself stranded because the battery died on it. Additionally, a tow strap. I carry this 30-foot tow strap with 2 hooks to use for, again, recovery if my vehicle is off in a ditch and another vehicle comes along and can help pull this out. Just a good item to have overall, as well as for other purposes. There's many videos out there on using these particular straps for other uses other than recovering of vehicles. So again, just a good item to have in the back of your vehicle as part of your emergency kit for your vehicle. So that completes the items in the back of my vehicle. Well, that covers the items in my vehicle emergency kit for winter. The only other considerations that I would recommend would be a Pioneer tool system, which would consist of a D-handle shovel, a Pickmatics that includes the head and the handle, as well as the axe. This vehicle is too small to carry those kind of items. However, if you have a larger vehicle, I would highly recommend considering purchasing those items. Other than that, this is my emergency kit for my vehicle for winter. Love to hear your comments and suggestions below. If you want to learn more about the items seen in this video, click on the links below. Be sure to like and subscribe. Just remember to be safe and be prepared out there in the winter. And eventually I want to see you out on the trail.